We're live. Hello and welcome to in12d. Welcome to our listeners across the globe. Today is a special episode. I'm gonna let Suzi lead this one because I'm on the hot seat.
Ramzi's on the hot seat. We don't have a special guest on this week's episode, but we do have Ramzi, and we have decided to, every couple of weeks when we have some space, we're going to keep uncovering, some of the life events that have led us to where we are now. And so I've got the joy of asking Ramzi all sorts of questions. You can also put your comments in the chat if you have any that you'd like to add as well. So I'm Suzi von Mensenkampff. I'm based in Ireland, and my co-host Ramzi is in South America. So we are poles apart. It's night and day over here. And basically, Ramzi, let's go back into where you left off the last time. So if you didn't catch the beginning of his story, you'll have to go back to that episode from about 2-3 weeks ago. I think it was episode 38 or 37, I think. But Ramzi started to tell us how he ended up in South America and what was going on for him. So let's dive back in there, Ramzi. Your old profession, where the intuition started to come in.
My old profession died. There was a mourning process. And by the way, whoever has a job and for whatever reason you go through a layoff, restructuring, whatever it's called, there's always a grieving period. So do allow the emotions to flow. Do allow the grieving period to pass. And then, look forward for the things to come. So in my case, intuition brought me to Peru to look for herbal drinks to import into Canada. So I was going back and forth trying to figure out what to bring. And all of a sudden I said, oh, yes, I'll do this. That was like a couple of days before I had to go back to Canada. But the thing is, my intuition was telling me, like, there's something here. There's more than just this one herbal drink that I came to look for, but I couldn't figure out what it is. So today we're talking about my life events and what brought me to South America, how spirit basically guided me in the whole process, and what I'm doing today. So doing that, what happened is that I felt it. I felt there's something more than that. So, but I couldn't figure out what it is. But I focused on my herbal drink that I was going to start importing. I figured out a few things. I started to add them, make a list, But then something happened and the direction kind of changed on its own. And it had a life on its own. This is a cacao fruit. This is what it is. It looks like this. And the chocolate kind of called me. And I said, okay, fine. Maybe there's something into the chocolate. And I wasn't really, to be honest with you, other than eating chocolate, I know nothing about making chocolates. So I got introduced to chocolate, what is called a cacao paste, basically that fruit that you just saw. There's a process that it goes through, and then it comes into a block of cacao paste. So with this paste, I started to experiment and look for, let's say, different formulas in order to come up with different type of chocolates. But all that was kind of guided, I was able to look somewhere and I found a formula for a dark chocolate, and then I played around with it. And then what am I going to call the dark chocolate? What is dark chocolate meant to me? So I kind of like meditated on it a bit, and I needed something spiritual to come to give it a spiritual name, to give that dark chocolate.
Hold on a second. So how, I'm going to back you up.
Yeah. Sorry. I go on there.
Tell
Yeah,
me a
go
little bit.
ahead.
So you're saying you needed a spiritual name for the chocolate. Like, why? Did you think it would sell better if it had a spiritual name, or what? Like, break that down a little bit for me.
Yeah, well, because I was guided to come here, because I was guided to change my direction from herbal drink into chocolate, I thought the right way to do it is just to go with a spiritual name. So I said, okay, fine. What am I going to call a spiritual name for a chocolate? So I kind of meditated on that part, and I said, okay, it's guided by spirit. Like, let me figure it out. And yeah, you have a question before I?
Well, yeah, again, I want to give listeners a real opportunity to know it's easy to say I was guided, but
Hmm.
what does that feel like? What does that look like? Do you hear a voice? Do you see a vision? Do you have a dream? Like there's multiple ways it can happen. What actually
Yes.
happened to give you that message? Like how does spirit speak to you individual as an
It
individual?
okay. It does speak to me in different ways, but in this particular instant, on this particular path, there was a multiple parts of it. One, there is the knowing part, like I knew this is the right thing. Like there's a feeling inside that kind of rises that yes, this is the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Two, there's a whisper that comes every now and then, like chocolate, for example, chocolate.
So
Coming
you're
from a
thinking
chocoholic.
tea. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
thinking tea, but you keep picking up this impression it's actually chocolate, it's not tea. Yeah.
Yes. But
Okay.
coming from a chocoholic, I just brushed it off, okay? Because I
Because
thought
you're
I
always
had
looking
to
for
eat the
chocolate.
chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah. But then I actually listened to it. And I said, okay, fine. So if it's chocolate, where do I go? And then, but I know nothing. I don't speak the language. I know nothing in this country. So like, just help me out to see or to find what I'm supposed to do. And then I found a supplier. I talked to people. And I said, okay, fine, I need a machine. So I got a machine to grind the cacao paste. Then was able to find the formula. Then now I have to give it a name. I don't know why. Yeah, I know. Chocoholic hearing that is just awesome. And then I go, I don't know why do I need to give it a name? Like really, chocolate, you just call it dark chocolate, and that's the end of it. But for me, it needed a specific name because it's not just a chocolate bar. It's more than a chocolate bar. So it has to have its own name, its own character.
Hmm.
That's where it all went to be honest with you. And then from there, I started searching, and then I said, oh yes, that's what happened. The tulip came to mind. I said, there's a black tulip. Let me see what a black tulip means. And then I went into the black tulip. It turned out to be a midnight tulip, which is actually opens at midnight, where spirit rises. And it had a spiritual meaning. I go, oh my God, I found it. Midnight tulip. So I called my dark chocolate Midnight Tulip. So
And
that
so
was
now
my
for the listeners, you've learned the craft of making chocolate. Like that's part of this discovery. You've been learning about it, you've been practicing, you've been kind of molding dark chocolate. Obviously, you're in the home of cacao, so you're kind of sourcing the best cacao. And like, how do you know whether to add sugar? Like, how do you decide when the flavor is right? Like, is that an intuitive hit? Is that just your palate?
well, it was a multiple things, Susie. Let me tell you one thing.
Okay.
The way they do the chocolates over here in Peru is that they use cane sugar.
Mm.
So I looked at cane sugar and I go, okay, fine. Cane sugar is really good. The thing is, to me, it was one step away from white sugar. And I know we're all being like we're all moving away from white sugar or processed food. So we're trying to go to the basic, to the raw food. And I said, okay, fine. For the cane sugar at the beginning, I made the first batch. It was good. It was chocolate, nothing so fancy about it. But it needed more. I needed to look for something else, and I wasn't sure what it was.
Mm.
And in my pantry there was coconut sugar. I had bought it once to try something else. It didn't work. It was horrible. Oh my God, who would ever use coconut sugar? Because it's so strong, the taste, that it actually overpowers other tastes. So it kind of like, here it is, I'm a coconut sugar, I'm here. So I was making a second batch. I was trying to make something, and I ran out of cane sugar. So I was looking in the pantry, I go, oh, you know what? Let me just try it. But now, was this guided, or was it, what do you call it, a coincidence? And I truly believe in guidance all the time, even if it was in the pantry. So I went there, I took it out, and I added it to chocolate, and I go, let's just see what came out. The minute I had the first bite, I go, oh my God, I struck gold. This is the right taste. Why? Because I'm using raw coconut sugar with, of course, organic cacao from over here. Although in Peru, they're small farms, so they don't spend money on labels to get, but they're all mostly are organic farms, and I source it from the right farm too. So I got them together, tasted it. It was just phenomenal. I said, okay, fine. This is not chocolate anymore. It's an indulgence. So you take a piece, you just like literally, like it takes you on a journey.
Yeah, I think chocolate does take
Yeah.
you, transport you, doesn't it? Like, I find when you eat the darker chocolate, like the 70% or 65 or something, and it's, really ethically sourced, there's so much thought and energy kind of going into that, like consciously. When you eat it, you don't just gobble it down like, a shitty bar. You literally take it one square at a time, and it's a real mindful experience, the mindful eating experience. So I'm just visualizing tasting the chocolate now, and you've really thought it through. And another thing I'm thinking about too is like everything has a consciousness. So like the chocolate kind of comes alive, I guess. There's an alchemy, like when you combine the right ingredients and you prepare it and then you taste it, like there's a certain kind of an alchemy happening, isn't there? Like, was that your experience?
There is an alchemy happening 100%. Now there's also one more factor to it, is that we don't use commercial machines.
Okay.
So it's all done by hand. So before we walk into the process of making the chocolate, you have to like leave everything behind before you walk into that room. And the room has a sign, this is our healing lab. So when you walk in with good intention, you're relaxed and you work. So there's a combination of the personal energy, the energy of the chocolate and the sugar. There's the energy of the space. All of it combined gives you the new bar that is coming out. That is actually, and to be honest, some people goes, it's actually healing your chocolate. Although
Wow.
there's nothing in there, but it's
well,
so
there's
soothing.
Antioxidants. Dark chocolate is full of antioxidants. It does come in under the, in moderation, that it is good for you.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. But we also source, it's what is called the type of cacao, I think it's called CCN 51, which is a high grade, not a hybrid one. So we do also look at the quality of the cacao itself. So certain farms, what they do is that they create a hybrid cacao, and I don't know how the process works. And that cacao, which I did buy the paste to check it out and taste it, but it wasn't the high quality of taste texture and everything that the regular cacao has. Okay, it's half price, but it's not worth it. For me, it wasn't worth it.
So it's all about the quality, really, of the product. And I know that you go and you visit and you meet the farmers and you see the whole, every stage of that, from the beans being planted to the trees, to the harvest, to the grinding them down, like drying them all out, all of that process. It's all really done from a place of love, I would say, because these guys, this is their passion.
100% correct. The farm that we source from and the one that we're going to be sourcing from, we added another farm to our list, which is, I think, I didn't get the, here it is.
I can almost smell it. Smell it.
So I was working with this gentleman into crushing the cacao nibs and by hand. Okay, so now they don't use those old machines anymore, but there's another process another machine that they use, which is similar to this one, but it's just a bit more automated. He's Peruvian. His wife is from Sweden. And they're living in a place that it took 2 hours to get by car, on roads that are half eroded, and the other half had big boulders coming down from the mountain blocking them. It's just an awesome trip. But anyways, so we get over there and they have, I don't know how many trees they have in there. They make over 500 or close to 700 kilos of cacao paste a year. And the thing is, they don't just produce that. What they do is that they create kind of an ecosystem where they have flowers, different plants. There was, what do you call that? Vanilla beans. There was banana. So the whole thing works together. And also they have, what do you call it? Bees to collect the thing, make honey out of that. The waste that comes out of the trees becomes the fertilizer for the other trees. So it's an ecosystem on its own, working together to create or to show up in this form.
Wow. That's what you want to be eating, isn't it? You don't want to be eating tons of chocolate, but when you do have that indulgent square and that mindful moment, it's got to be this coming from this level, of attention and to detail, and just that the whole process is. Oh my God! Somebody made a mad comment there. They have a point. But anyway. I haven't seen many monkeys, to be honest, but so I want to talk a little bit more about when this product comes to market, when people can finally really be able to purchase their own online, and it's a healing chocolate. How's that ritual going to, can you give us a bit of a sense of what that's going to entail?
Well, we're going into 3 phases of this project, which will take quite some time to come to fruition. Phase 1 is almost complete. We have this is roughly the packaging. This is our brand will be called Alamu Soul Food. That's the name. So it's alamu.pe. The website is being created right now. Boxes will be finalized by Friday. I get the new box, and we will review it. And if everything is okay, it goes to print. So I would say in mid-May, we will be live in phase 1 in Lima, Peru.
Excellent.
And actually, my samples went all the way to China, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah, last week it ended up in China, and they were so happy with it that they go, when you have it ready, please let us know, and we'd like to purchase from you. I have a cousin who is in France. I sent her a couple of samples, and she goes, "Oh my God, that's the best thing that I've ever tasted."
Nice.
And also, not because it's better than anybody else's. It's just all of it encompassed with the energy that was created with. It gives it that high quality type of product at the end of the day.
Cool. So I know that at some point along this trajectory with the chocolate, that it's going to bring meditation, maybe a mindfulness practice that you can tune into as you're eating. Like, I've taught mindful eating at a lot of retreats, even in a corporate setting. They loved the day I came with the chocolate truffles and trying to contain everyone so they only take a smell and and when you're mindfully eating something, like before we even open it, like you're looking at all the packaging, you're really taking in the whole experience. And then it's like thinking back of, this originates from the chocolate bean, the cocoa bean, and all the different things that it has to go through to get to the moment where you're holding it in your hand. And that really kind of drives all of your senses when you start to taste something from a more mindful perspective, and then going into just the first smell, the first little taste, where it sits on your tongue, how it affects that, the first time you swallow it, so many things like that can really, by the time you've only eaten one truffle, you've had a complete experience. So you're not mindlessly just scoffing the whole bag, you know what I mean? One bag of truffles would do my whole class, and they were really happy afterwards. So I know last week on our podcast, our guest was challenging you, Ramzi, to start meditating. So I just wanted to know how's that going, by the way? 7 minutes, she said, was it? 7?
Yes, 7 minutes a day. 7 minutes in the morning. The way she put it out is very simple. You wake up in the morning, go to the washroom, don't brush your teeth. It's very important not to brush your teeth, because the taste of mint in your mouth kind of wakes you up. You have to still be half asleep. Sit there for the 7 minutes and meditate.
How did it go?
I did it for a couple of days. It was awesome. And to get my brain not to look at the time every 30 seconds, I put the timer for 7 minutes, and I said, okay, 7 minutes is gonna, and it worked. It worked very well. The timer goes on. I turn the timer off. Sometimes I stay in that state for a bit longer. It depends. And then sometimes I just get up and move on with the daily routine. Then I kind of stopped, and now I'm going back into it. What this does is just kind of clears up your mind. It allows for intuition to rise.
No, I don't want to know the bullet points, Ramzi. I want to know how you felt. I can teach the bullet points. I've been doing that.
I know.
I want to know, how did it feel? Was it hard? A lot of people find it really hard, actually. It feels like 5 minutes is about 4 hours for some people when they start.
Okay, when you do it in the morning, okay, I'll be very honest. When I was doing it during the day, it was oh my God, I must have stayed for half an hour. I look at the time, it's barely 2 minutes, and I go, okay, I'm frustrated. Let me move on with my life. But when you do it in the morning, you're at a state where everything is kind of slow.
Yeah,
you're not in the rush of the day. That's one thing that I noticed. 2, instead of just jumping out of bed and running, doing my daily stuff, I said, okay, yeah, it doesn't hurt to stay in bed for another 5 minutes. 7 in this case, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
So it did help me kind of quiet my mind a bit in the morning. Now, when I say quiet my mind, it doesn't mean that it didn't continue talking. It just talks on its own, and that's
Yeah.
fine. And I just don't pay attention to it. I don't pay attention.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that passes through, and I'm okay with them. I don't engage in the discussions.
Yeah, that's good. Like, because
Yeah.
your mind is very busy. Like the minute you wake up, it's like, oh, what time is it? What will I have for breakfast? Do I need to leave the dog out? You know, everybody will have the same sort of non-stop waking kind of thoughts, and they build momentum as the first hour goes. Like you go from like a couple of thoughts to kind of, oh, we're up and running now. So the 7-minute meditation really is about interrupting that flow of the thoughts. So having something to do, it's kind of like when you take your dog out for a walk. Sometimes you might have to give the dog a bone to occupy it, or you might want to give it a stick or something to carry along. So you need something for the mind to latch onto in the first kind of 7 minutes. So like that's what I think you could try next week. Sit up again, set the timer for 7 minutes. Now that you've had a bit of a feel for what it's like, and you've noticed the mind does keep going, what kind of stick would you give that mind? Like you could just give it like, I'm going to keep following my breath. I'm going to just become aware of the sounds. I'm going to just connect with my body sequentially. It's called a body scan. So you could just feel your toes, feel the soles of your feet, feel your legs, gradually kind of scan your body all the way up to the top of your head, and then go back down. So it kind of keeps bringing your attention back to, I'm just doing, this is my meditation. So it's like either a body awareness meditation or a breath awareness meditation. So you do need something in there, not just sitting there like trying to pretend you're not having thoughts. It's, you need to direct that attention on something or other. It could be a heart-centered meditation. You could just decide for 7 minutes, I'm just going to stay connected to my heart center. And a nice way to do that is gratitude. So you could make it a gratitude practice. So for 7 minutes, even when your attention drifts away to the dog or to, the sound outside, keep coming back to what am I grateful for? And just what am I grateful for? And then feel it in your heart and let things come up and really start to get a kind of intimate connection with the feeling of gratitude. Like that, try that for the week and we'll see how you get on before we tune in again.
That's an awesome suggestion. I will definitely follow it. And by the way, I follow all your suggestions when it comes to meditation because my monkey mind goes everywhere.
Yeah,
and I know I'm the
think
only one with the monkey mind.
It's a game changer. It really is. And when you talk about hearing that intuition, it's much easier to hear the intuition because you've been training how to quieten down the monkey mind. And it's when the monkey mind is quieter, you can hear, dark tulip or, whatever, midnight tulip or whatever it was called, your chocolate.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I want to just say, like, I know we're going to wrap up this. We want to do a short live before next week, but episode 42 has such a cool guest coming up next week, Robert Wagner. I've been waiting months for this guest to be available and to join us. I've been reading his book on lucid dreaming, Awakening in the Dream State. As everybody who ever listens to this knows, it's a massive passion of mine because I believe the best meditations we can do are the ones we do while we're sleeping. So it's effortless and you'll always nail it, so I'm just enticing you in with that. But Robert Wagner is a scientist and he's been researching dreams for about 40 years and he's recorded over 1,000 dreams of his own. So his book has been, translated into like 17 languages. It's been reprinted about 15 times. It's the most well-leafed book of any lucid dreamer. So if you're into lucid dreaming, do tune in next week to meet our special guest, Robert. And I'm so excited about it.
Same here. Can't wait. And do do keep us on your feed by liking and subscribing. This way you'll know when the next time we have Unmasked to continue unmasking your co-hosts. And hopefully one day we'll get to Suzi and her meditation, because
Definitely.
she's really good, especially the yoga meditate.
Dream yoga.
Dream yoga.
Dream
I'm
yoga.
sorry, I always mess it up.
Don't worry, but it's a game changer. It really is a game changer, and I'm still only at very early days of it myself. But the more I'm learning, the more profound it is, and the more you learn about becoming more lucid, you can start to work within the dream state. You can transform the dream. You can face your fear. You can kind of overcome your greatest nightmares. And people develop a lot of anxiety, and part of the reason people find it hard to sleep is because of those kind of heightened states that they get into, whether it's real or imagined, if it's just from watching too much kind of scary TV. So these practices can really change everything for you. And then you can have a lovely other ritual of having some really good quality chocolate, which I'm all for.
Well, soon everybody will be able to try those chocolates, and we can have a what do you call it? I think we should have a panel one day with all the people that tried it and get their feedback and how it changed the way they see chocolate, actually.
Yeah, or taste it.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
Well,
so this is us,
Suzi, thank
Unmasked.
Thank you all for being with us, and we'll see you next week with Robert Wagner, correct?
Yeah.
All right.